Hello guys, welcome back to our Unity learning video series. In the previous video we were able to create a cube inside our Unity scene and we tried to change its color, and now let's try adding some behaviors to this game object. So let's think what actually gives these certain behaviors to our game objects. For an example, when I click and select the cube, you can see in the inspector there are number of components that are being attached to it. So these components have their own simple behaviors. For an example, if you think about this cube mesh filter, this mesh filter gives the shape of this game object's mesh. It reads the cube mesh and shows the cube shape. If we click here and change the referring mesh into a sphere, you can see that the game object's shape is changing. It's reading the mesh data. So the behavior of the mesh filter is read whatever that's assigned as the mesh and show it as the final object. And in the mesh renderer, we already changed the color of our cube using the material. So the mesh renderer has a behavior of showing colors of the attached game object. So if we uncheck this, you will see that even though we have a cube shape, the shape is not visible. The behavior of the mesh renderer is making it visible. So these components are giving their own behavior to the attached game object. Now we have to make our own behavior and attach it to the inspector as a component in this cube object. So if we have to give another new behavior to this game object, what we have to do is attach that behavior to this game object's list of components. Since we want to make more customizable behavior, we can create a script and attach it to the cube. So let's try creating a script for this game object. To manage our project, we will create a new folder and name it scripts, and let's create a C# script here, and let's name it player. Okay, so now we can edit this code in Visual Studio. Okay, now we have our code opened in Visual Studio, you can see that we already have a class named player with a start method and an update method. In the start method, you can write the code that you need to be executed when the game starts. For an example, the initializing code. If you want to spawn the player object in the start position when the game starts, you can execute it in the start method. And if you want to set your score variables to 0 when the game starts, start method is the place to go. In the update method, you have to add the code that you need to execute in each frame update. So the player's movement code, if the player object has to move around the environment of the game world, it has to be executed in each frame. So you can use the update method and write the logic for the movement there. For now, let's try doing simple debug calls to see how these functions, these methods are called in the game loop. So we have a debug class which has debug log and warning calls included, so we can write debug log warning and we'll add a string here. And here we'll do now that we have a line of code included in the start method, let's see how it gets executed. We save the project. Let's go to our Unity editor. You will see it compiles the code for some time. And now we have to have this player behavior attached to some game object. So I'm going to attach it to the player by dragging it to its inspector window. Okay. Now that we have our player script behavior, something has to happen when the editor goes to play mode. So I'm going to click play. So we can't see any update. Why is that? Our debug call or this debug log warning goes to the Unity console. We'll go to Window, General, Console. But still you can't see anything. But there's one over here. Let's click that. Okay, you have the warning call, start called, executed once. Let's exit the play mode again and clear this and go back. Okay, now you see it gets called once. Now let's go back to our editor. Then we have our update method. Let's add debug dot log update code. Now we have our line of code that should be executed in the update method. Let's save it and go back. All we have to do is go back to play mode because we have already attached the script here to the cube. Go play. Okay, we have our update call log and it's getting called more than 2000. It's going about, okay, now it's 3000, so it keeps getting called again and again, right? Let's just remove this collapse. You can see how many times the update called log has been added to our console. Let's collapse it again. Okay. Now you know how to add your own behaviors by creating scripts, and you saw how the start method and update method gets executed in the game loop. I'm going to stop the video for now. In the next video, we will add more controls to our behavior script to give more visual outcome to this cube. Okay, see you.